That's your auntie, yeah?
Yeah, that's my mother-in-law.
Oh, it's your mother-in-law.
Yeah,
So you have to keep her happy,
Of course, yes. He gave me her daughter, only daughter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And her only daughter made me 2 babies.
Incredible.
2 boys.
So that means she's happy.
事情是这样的，前一阵我去泰国度假，带家人呢在芭提雅的一处民宿里住了1个星期。这位60多岁老先生就是我的房东，我是在爱某营网站上找的，选这个房子主要是因为便宜。一接触我发现老先生特别健谈，正好最近泰国的话题在国内比较火，我就想让他给我们说2句。本来我跟老先生说就聊5分钟的，结果老先生一说就说了1个小时。由于这个访问完全是计划之外的，所以我也没有带任何专业的设备来，所以大伙儿凑合看吧。看看他怎么评价泰国的生活到底安不安全。
Let's introduce yourself, okay?
So my name is David Ash. I'm 63 years old. I was born in the United Kingdom, in the north of England. I lived in Australia for 10 years. And so I have Australian citizenship and I have British citizenship. And I've lived and worked in Asia for 30 years.
咱们先倒插笔一下，先听听老先生怎么说泰国的治安问题。他访谈的完整版会放在这段视频的后边。
So let's talk something about Thailand because
okay.
as we have discussed in China recent days, actor not very famous in China and come here and kidnapping to Myanmar, and many tourists is worried about is that safe in Thailand. So I saw there are no security guard here, no big fence, and no safe or anything special here.
So
let me tell.
So
real.
So what I can tell you is that I've traveled a lot in the world. I've been to Brazil, been to Central America, Panama, Colombia, been to parts of Africa. The 30 years that I've lived in Thailand, I have never been threatened.
No, never.
And in Thailand, I'm not fearful to go anywhere. I can go to Bangkok 2 o'clock in the morning and walk around the streets. I have no fear. You know, I can go to Phuket. I can go everywhere in Thailand and never thinking somebody gonna stick up me or mug me or something like that. It never happened. And all my friends I have here, I never hear the story of any foreigner that they get attacked by somebody like that.
Foreigner.
Yeah, foreigners.
Okay.
I never hear about the foreigners get attacked. If they have a fight, normally it's themselves because they get drunk and they start a fight with the other foreigner, you know? Like they're 2 friends together drinking at the bar and they get drunk and they fight with themselves. But as far as safety, you know, I like to travel to Japan, and when I'm in Japan, I never think about safety. I feel Japan is safety. Mm-hmm. But I feel the same in Thailand. So the same presence I have in Thailand about feeling safe, 5 o'clock in the morning, I can get up here 5 o'clock in the morning and open every door and walk down the street here. I don't think somebody gonna jump on me like that, you know? Never in 30 years, you know.
So that means only here in Pattaya and Bangkok, the big city like this, or any part?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yeah. Now, obviously, you have to be careful if you're a tourist. You know, if you're a tourist and you went to Pattaya, where it's a tourist area, and you put your shirt on and put the big gold chain hanging down here and walking down the beach like this, maybe somebody might grab the gold chain from there. You should be sensible too, you know.
That's right.
But the fear of, like, in London is not safety, because in London they have gangs.
Yeah.
They look at the areas, restaurants like upper class, and they look if that person has an expensive watch. They're watching. Okay, he got the Rolex watch. They telephone the gang. They get paid. They get paid for this. They say, okay, on this certain hotel or this, there's a guy, and they wait. And when you come out and walk down the street, they come and attack you and rip the watch off your arm if you're resisting, maybe they stab you.
Yeah.
And like that's a terrible thing happening in London.
Yeah, because in 2019, when we went to London, England, and then there's a Chinese couple, we live in the same hotel, and told me last day when they went out, there two guys pretend to be a police and ask you to check your passport.
Yeah.
We'll show him the passport, they grab it and ask you for money. So they paid maybe 200 pounds for this.
Happened to me when I was in London, because a lot of the taxis and taxi drivers and a lot of that time before the Ukraine war, a lot of Russians and Ukrainians and East Europeans, they're there and they do the underground business for the nightclub, you know, do the lady dancing and all that.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
No.
You know, if you upset them, or if you went in there and bought something and you said, oh, the price is too high, you cannot get out. You know, you're never going to get out, you know.
No.
So I feel safer here in Thailand than I do in America, and I feel safer than I do in my own country. Yeah. Even Melbourne City in Australia, I would not walk around Melbourne City after midnight around the streets there. It would not be safe.
Because
they have a like a gang culture, you know, like America.
Yeah.
You know, there's parts of Los Angeles you would never go there because the gang culture in there. You walk in there, you're in trouble. You know? So Thailand to me is safe. There is crime in Thailand amongst the Thai people, mainly stealing or something like that. The murder rate is not very high, you know. I wouldn't say that people are being murdered every day, you know.
Okay.
So I think if you common sense and you travel in Thailand, you know, and you know, if you're in the tourist areas, somebody tried to cheat you or scam you with something, if you common sense, you're not interested in that, don't involve with it, you know. They would not try to attack you, you know.
Okay.
Then maybe they try to steal your money by get you in that nightclub and you have to pay some charge, you know. You trying to buy, put it there, and then really it was free to go in, you know.
Okay.
But you wouldn't. I in all the years I've been here, I would not say that I felt safe, and especially if you're outside of the tourist areas like Pattaya and parts of Bangkok, then 100% safe, you know, where the Thai people live, you know.
That's very important information we want to
So if I was Chinese, I would basically put Thailand on the 100% to visit list, you know. You know, I wouldn't go to Myanmar.
No, never.
That's very unsafe, you know.
Danger here.
And, you know, parts of America, you know, I wouldn't go to Chicago, you know. And especially areas in Chicago are very dangerous. They shoot each other, and if you're on the street walking, maybe the bullet hit you when you're walking down the street like that. You know?
Now here, in Thailand, the firearms are legal or not?
It's very hard to own a gun.
Okay. So
you know,
it's legal but very hard to own.
There's 100% there's illegal guns in Thailand, you know? But there's strong law. If you get caught with a gun and it's not registered, you'll go to the jail, you know?
Of course, yes.
But there is illegal guns in Thailand, and Thai people do have guns that aren't registered. But it is illegal, you know?
Okay.
Whereas in America, I can go into Walmart and come out with 10 guns, you know? And if I lived in America, I would have 10 guns in every room for my own safety, you know? But here, not necessary to have a gun. Good. But I think that Thailand is easygoing country to travel in. Not difficult to travel. Easy to get things done, you know. You can sit down, and if you're lazy to go buy something, somebody will go buy it for you. Go get me a drink, go get me some food. You can sit on the beach, they bring the food to you. In a foreign country, you have to go get the food and bring it to the beach, you know. So easy travel, and it's relatively still cheap in Thailand, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And I would feel more safe here than I would in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. You know, I worked in Vietnam. I worked on the Mai Thuan Bridge, which is about 2 hours outside of Ho Chi Minh City.
We talk. I feel Thailand is a calm and friendly and a safe place, and
Safe place to travel.
Safe place to travel.
Is relatively cheap.
Yeah.
And friendly service.
Okay. That's enough.
And easy to get around because Thailand is not too big. It's not like America, you know.
No.
You know, you can fly from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. I think is 1 hour.
Yeah.
And a bit. You can go from Bangkok to Phuket is like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you can go everywhere in Thailand a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So if you come for like a 7-day holiday, you can go start in Phuket, fly to Bangkok, and go up to Chiang Mai, then come back to Bangkok, fly home. In America, you can't do that, you know, because
it's too big. No, too big.
Even Australia, you know, you go to Australia 7 days, it's just one city, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
So if I introduce your house to the other Chinese travelers,
no problem.
You will be welcome.
Welcome, yeah, everybody welcome.
Okay, you can drink together and
If
have dinner together.
If they're friendly, it's very welcome to come, you know.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the interview and for the house staff.
And a pleasure to meet and host wonderful family.
You will meet more family from China from today, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay.
And have a great night and a Happy New Year for all of my followers.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Everybody. Actually, the Chinese New Year is next month, huh?
The next month.
Next month.
Let's try some Chinese, okay?
Okay.
新年快乐。
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 快乐。
新年快乐。
新年快乐。嘿。
我来泰国很多次了，这次也像以往一样自己开车玩，但住民宿这只是第3次。我觉得很幸运能认识 David 这样一个健谈的房东。这就是他家，一个占地2000平米的院子，里边被分成了3个相对独立的小院。他住在正中间最小的院子里，把最大的院子和泳池和另外一个带有中式月亮门的小院当做民宿租了出去。整个院子也没有监控，也没有防盗措施，连大门都是这个从广东背回来的木头门。院子里的点点滴滴都是他这20多年一点一点搭建起来的，每一处都散发着对生活的热爱。
Okay.
Very good.
So you'll edit this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
First,
So what do you want to talk about? So that's the introduction. Now what you want to talk? You want me to talk about Thailand?
the first day I came here, and there's one thing I'm very interested. You know, like we talked, you was born in England and working in Australia and traveled many countries, even in China. Like David said, he's been to China many times. I think the reason is why you decided to make your home here, Pattaya, Thailand, and this how good is here, and what is the real reason. That's how I want to know.
So let's talk about why I stayed in Asia for 30 years. So initially I came working in Asia with large multicultural companies working in mining and oil and gas. And that took me from Papua New Guinea. I worked in Singapore. I worked in Korea. I'd done some work in the Middle East, but my base was in Thailand. And I learned to enjoy Thailand because Thailand had a very relaxed style of living. Compared to the Western country, is very everything is very methodical and very direct, whereas in Asia, the people were more friendly and more relaxed, and it was an easier style of living, you know. So, after I'd worked here for 2 to 3 years, I started my own business with a Thai partner and built a fabrication business. Done many projects, too many. We could talk for 1 hour or 2 hours about projects. So basically I was doing fabrication projects, for Thailand, but then I went international. I become a joint venture partner with an American company building expansion joints for elevated roads and bridges. You know, done a lot of work in, Hong Kong, or the Kowloon Expressway from the airport, when you drive down the Kowloon Expressway in your car, every time your car goes boom, boom, the expansion joint. Made in Thailand, and installed by Thai people, you know.
Okay.
So yeah.
But now you still work or now?
So over the years, I was involved in infrastructure work, doing roads and bridges, in oil and gas and refineries, and then into mining. The mining was actually copper mines and gold mines in Tanzania, Ghana,
Yeah.
and in Australia, Western Australia. Not just Western Australia, Queensland and New South Wales. And also I worked in the Middle East on the large aluminium smelter project there in the United Arab Emirates. When I was into my later 50s, I slowed down a bit due to some health issues. And at that time, I had started working with some US companies in data centers. So building modular data centers and then exporting them out of Thailand into the Philippines, Myanmar, but not now. But prior to that, we've done the Philippines, Myanmar, we've done Australia, and done the Middle East. And I still build modular data centers now. Okay. So at the moment, I've stopped working oil and gas and mining, and I just concentrate on the data centers. Okay. So we build anything from like a 40-foot container sized to multi-stories. So they're basically built in Thailand. All the mechanical, electrical, fire systems, air conditioning systems is all put in. We import a lot of product from China.
Yeah, of course.
So a lot of the racks and the equipment that I buy comes from Shenzhen, area, So I've been to China maybe 30 times, in the industrial areas, buying equipment, I actually saw the development of the Pudong area in Shanghai go from like not much there, to now is look like in 16 years it went from nothing to like Manhattan. Yeah. Fully developed, So, when I traveled to China, I remember the first time I went to China, I shocked and I said to myself, nobody can compete against China.
That's in which year?
Because that was in the 90s. In the 90s, yeah. When I first went to China, and I saw the factories and the capacity. I remember going to Fujian City. They make all the lighting, and they have like 1,000 factories around the city, 24 hours a day, producing lights and lighting equipment for the whole world.
Yeah.
And when I looked at that, I thought to myself, who can competition against that? Yeah. And it's very cheap. You buy the product by the container. So when you go into the shops in the city, they have all these shops, and the shops is like an outlet to the factory. Yeah. And they have like a numbering system. So if you look at a chandelier, number 28, you say, okay, I want 50 of them, and 20 of them you're buying for Global House,
That's right.
So everything was by, container load. You would then go to the factories, and they would look at the scheduling, and they would tell you, you put the order here, you get your order in like 6 months from now, because they're fully booked. South America, Africa, everywhere, supplying the world, So I saw every time I went to China, and I used to come back from Thailand, I used to think, the manufacturing in Thailand cannot survive against the manufacturing in China, because the only thing protect Thailand is a tariff.
Oh, yeah.
That time Thailand, they put like a tariff, and they put like some government, you have to get like a certain, like in Europe, CE.
Yeah. That's right.
And they make it very hard for China to get the they protect the industry like air conditioning, because they have quite a lot of air conditioning system, because before Thailand is supported by Japan.
Yeah.
And most of the manufacturing, a lot of the manufacturing in Thailand is Japan. So, and Japan cannot competition against China because it's the product cheap. But now, the product start to come in, Yeah. In the early years when I worked in Thailand, all the construction equipment, Japanese, Komatsu, or you had European like Caterpillar and everything. Now, when you look at the construction equipment in Thailand, it's all Chinese.
Yeah.
Sun Long, Sun Yang,
like a Neta.
all that. Yeah, and now the car industry, with the electric car now, they took over the General Motors factory. Yeah. I actually built I was probably the last to build something for General Motors in Thailand. So in 2008, we built the new engine plant for General Motors. So they built a new building with a plant for making the engines for General Motors. Now General Motors is closed, and that factory now is the owner is Great Wall.
Great Wall? Great Wall, you mean to make the
car.
SUV?
Yeah. They took over that factory, you know.
Okay.
So also some of the Japanese companies have left, like Suzuki. He's left Thailand, Subaru is left Thailand, and Chinese companies coming in, you know.
I saw there are many boards like BYD, the car maker in China, like Neta car maker, and Sangyi.
So when I look at Thailand now, before Thailand have very close relationship with the USA.
Yeah.
It go back to the Vietnam War. In the Vietnam War, the US is cooperate with Thailand. They don't want the communists, and they build the Navy base down there inside the hip, up in Nong Khai, Udon Thani, around there, the air bases. So, and the US company has special agreement in Thailand. They can own the business 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the only way the foreign country, like if you're a French company, you come to Thailand, you can only own the business if you build in the industrial estate area and is 100% export.
Okay.
If you sell on the domestic market, 49%.
So 59 belongs to the
Thai.
Okay.
And 49% belong to the foreign country.
Fair enough.
but with America in the 1970s, the Americans, when they come here and the Thai government said 51-49, the Americans said forget about that, and they made a special agreement, and that agreement is still today. It's called the annuity agreement. Still to today.
Only America?
Only America. So America, they can own a company in Thailand 100%, whether it's domestic supply or export. But they can have 100% shareholding by American citizens, you know. No. If you've got a US passport, you can own the business 100%. If you've got a British passport, you can only own the business if you're in a registered industrial park and your product is 100% export.
Okay.
You cannot sell it on the local market like that, you know. But what I've seen happening in the last 10 years in Thailand is the Prayut government is move away from America and get close with China. So now the Thai government is more close to China than they are. They just joined the BRICS. So Thailand is just put the application. They're not full member yet, but they've been accepted to become a preliminary member. I think in 2 or 3 years you become the full member, you know. So I see the future of Thailand is more connected to China.
Yeah, because we're a neighbor.
But America still want to keep in with Thailand because of the Asia Pacific area with their military. They want to keep control, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's very hard because the world is changing. Globalization is dead.
That's
you know,
right.
Globalization now is gone, and we have two separate worlds now. China now is big power, and their economy, even at the moment, the economy maybe not so good, but is still growing at 5%.
Yeah.
You know, the Western country, if they grow 2%,
1 or 2,
if Europe's growing 0 to 1%, you know. So China is still growing, even they're growing not at 10%, at 5%. So, and in the future, their GDP will be more than America. So we hope there's no war.
You know this well, huh? You always focus on the global economy or something.
Me, yeah,
Every day,
I keep up to date with everything that's happening in Europe. I look at Germany. See, Germany is in trouble now because if you look at the German economy, they are like a precision manufacturer.
Yeah.
You know, they have big companies like Borg Warner that make gearboxes. Their car industry, precision manufacturing. But the world is changing to electric cars. Electric cars is battery technology. You know,
that's right.
Battery technology is controlled by China. Nobody can compete with China
Really?
on batteries and also on some of the critical minerals. You know, so now that China, I remember 25 years ago when I used to go to the Canton Fair. You know, they have the big.
Yeah.
They have the.
Yeah.
I used to go every year, 2 times a year. They have, I think, in March and like October.
That was the only fair in China.
The only one, yeah, big one is.
Yeah.
You need 5 days to go around all the pavilions.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time I went there, and I looked at the product. They have an aeroplane. There was 100 car manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
There was 100 shipbuilding along the south of China Sea. They have ports building ships, 100 like that. So when I looked at that and I looked at the capacity, I thought, wow, you know, when China can make everything, you know, I spent many years in construction, and I done projects in India, done a bridge in India. When you go around, even like in Turkey and that, they bring in Japanese companies to build their bridges.
Yeah.
But China, they build their own bridges. They don't need the foreigner.
No.
China doesn't need the foreign company to come in and build a bridge. They don't need the foreign company to come in and build the roadways. They do everything themselves. And I said to myself, when China can master branding, because, you know, everybody can make the Levi jean, huh?
That's right.
It's not hard. You find the material they use, and you get the good seamstress, you can make Levi jeans. But the important is the brand.
That's right.
Levi. So it started off in the 70s with Japan making product, you know, copying product, making product, and eventually they start to get some brand. Toyota, Sony, Sanyo, they start branding, yeah? And then so when China is at the level now where some of their brands now, like BYD, and even on the electrical product like Huawei and that, start to recognize on the international market, you know. So once their branding is more accepted on the international market for quality, who can compete? Because in manufacturing, it's all about the scale of the economy, you know. So when you have huge labor force, you know, China, you know, is 4 times the size of America when you look at the labor force, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, they crazy things that when I listen to American politics about putting the tariff up, and then that company will come back to America and make the product in America. It's never going to happen, because America does not have the labor force to make it for a start, and they don't have the raw materials, because globalization, everything was outsourced, you know.
Yeah.
You're not going to make shoes. Nobody going to make shoes in maybe some like a high end or something like that, but mass market, keeping the price down, not going to happen in America, you know. So, you know, Chinese companies now that are maturing are moving out of China and coming to like Vietnam and other low-cost countries and doing manufacturing there. So they're actually maturing. So you've got some companies in China now that are, you can call global companies, you know. So you can't stop China. So when we look at the world now, we've got America, which is the old power. It used to be England.
Yeah.
You know, people have a misconception about England, because you know, Great Britain, the United Kingdom used to be like a global brand, you know, you could say.
That's right.
But it wasn't the Second World War that made them bankrupt. England was starting to go bankrupt before the First World War. So if you go back to the turn of the century in the early 1900s, England was already starting to struggle with Africa and India.
Yeah.
You know, the East India Company used to be the biggest company. You know, they had and their army was bigger than England. They had 260,000 soldiers, you know.
Yeah.
So when the East India Company started going down, and the British company, and then they had World War One, which made England go down, and then World War Two is
Finished.
that's the end of that. And then after that, America has come up because they do all the manufacturing for the war. Europe, England, and Russia in debt to the United States.
Yeah.
So America was rebranded as a global brand, and also the US dollar become the recognized currency for trading, you know. But that now is cycling at the top, you know. It can't stay, you know, and all these countries like China, that is, you know, in a way, the world went to China, and now China's big.
Yeah.
And you can't complain and say, hey, no, we don't want you to be like that. We want you to stay where you were. We can control you. You cannot control China. So eventually what will happen in the future, I think, is that China GDP will be bigger than America. And when I look at the history of China, they don't have the history of start the war. If you look at China, they don't have a history of invading. China never invaded Europe, you know. You know, they never invaded anywhere. They just protect themselves. Even Mongolia is attacked China, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel that China only want to do business, and they want to grow their economy and look after their people. And America have to accept, like Switzerland, accept Switzerland as they are in Europe, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's no problem. If you're Swiss, you have a good standard of living in Switzerland, you know. So America has to realize they cannot be the policeman of the world.
And no more.
No more, yeah.
No more.
But, you know, I'm not sure that they don't start a war. The only thing I don't trust about the Americans is they start a war over everything, you know. They can, with Saddam Hussein before, they lie everything about weapon of mass destruction. They don't have weapon of mass destruction. Osama bin Laden was the one who hit the tower, but they start the war with Iraq, and now they destroy Iraq, you know.
Yeah.
I went to Iraq 4 years ago, you know, into Najaf to look some project there at the airport. They want to build a refueling station with the tanks, you know. And when I was over there, the Iraqi people are very nice people, you know. But, you know, they've been destroyed, like Libya from the war, you know. Take a long time for them to recover, you know. So the Americans go in, they destroy something, they go back out and leave a mess, you know. So I hope they don't start any trouble with China, because that one is going to be like a world war, you know. So we have to hope that people like Donald Trump and that, I think Donald Trump not interested in the war, but he want to try to keep America strong, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe you can keep them strong financially, but when you got $36 trillion deficit, and you have a deficit every year of $2 trillion,
Yeah.
that you have to print T-bills, to pay for that, is not a good start. They have to save money to pay their debt down. They cannot keep growing the military. In actual fact, the crazy thing now is the military budget is like $850 billion. They pay over $1 trillion in interest. They pay more money on their interest on their deficit than they do on the military. So it's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It can't keep, and even England, their debt level is over 100% of their GDP, you know? Japan, I think, is 260% debt of their GDP, because they crashed in the 80s and never
come back again.
Never come back again. No. So I think China, I think if I was Malaysia and if I was Thailand or Asian country in this region, I have to look that China is my market because it's 1.4 billion. How I can do business with China, you know.
How do you think about the future of China? Because you know the new generation and especially who grew up when college during the COVID, and they stay home and doing online lessons, and when they graduate, then they feel it's very hard to find a good job and a good salary. They feel the future is could be hard and could be tough.
I think what you have to look at is that China has had like 30 years of that, you know.
Yeah.
So now their economy is going through like a restructuring, and you have to remember that Western countries, when they go through restructuring, they actually collapse, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Australia,
just 1 second, I just double check the video because this part,
all the birds and squirrels, you know. Yeah. You know, sometimes during the COVID, have the monkey.
The monkey?
Because over at the lake, there's a lot of monkeys.
Yeah.
And, you know,
big
because...
or small ones?
Small ones like this.
But, it's bigger.
But because the tourists don't go there, they come out looking for the food, you know.
Oh, no.
And they come, and one day I come here and they sat on the tree over there, they come in the tree swinging around like this, the monkeys, you know.
Yeah.
Over from there. But since the COVID is finished and that, they come back over there again, you know.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was saying, so when I look at China now, obviously there's a couple of things happening. One is Europe and America is fearful of China. They're looking at China and they're growing and they go, oh, we need to put export restrictions, we need to put tariffs, we need to do this, we need to slow China down.
Yeah.
Especially on chip technology, you know, because, you know, you think about it, for every PhD that graduates in America, maybe you have 100 in China. For every PhD.
Yeah, reasonable. That's right.
Yeah. So you get one PhD student in America, maybe 100 in China. So when we talk about scales of economy, you know, if you make 10 cars and he can make 50 cars, it's hard to compete because you're only making 10, unless you're like a luxury brand like Lamborghini and you rely on your branding. Mm-hmm. But branding is very hard. It can take 50 to 100 years to build a brand.
Yeah,
you know?
need time.
So at the moment, China on branding is popular in Africa.
Yeah.
Popular in parts of Asia, but still in the Western world, like Europe and America and Australia, they're still it's made in China. You know? But there used to be like that with Japan. So in the 70s, it used to be, I'm not buying that, it's Japanese. But now we accept that the quality of Japan product is good, maybe better. Yeah. You know, Toyota is like always win the best car maker, you know, better than any American or British, time. You know. So at the moment, you know, unfortunately, the growing pains of China is they're being constrained. Globalization is like broken. They're being constrained, so that's not helping with their exports. And they're still graduating people because because I think before is in America is like 650 billion export to America when Trump was in power, and since Biden it's come down to about 510. So there's like 140 billion taken off. It has to go somewhere else. They have to look for new markets, you know. So they're going through their growing pains, but you know, it's a big country and it has it does, you know, people look at democracy and it might sound strange to you because I grew up in what you call a democratic country. It's not always good, democracy, because it slows everything down. You can't get things done. If you look at Barack Obama, which is 16 years ago, Yeah, 16 years ago since he was in power.
Yeah.
And at that time, they said, we have to fix the infrastructure in America. It's falling behind. They're still not...
No. They don't have a chance.
That government comes in, by the time he's out, they still haven't managed to... On the last Biden one, by the time they agreed on the amount, after COVID and everything went up in price, they said, $1 trillion, we need $2 trillion. Because $1 trillion is not going to do anything, just some repairs. So, whereas in China, when I used to travel to China and I saw China over a 25-year span, every time I went back, it was like, that wasn't there before.
No.
That wasn't. They build things very fast,
Yeah.
So, and I used to go outside the city. A lot of the factories that are building machinery is like 2 hours outside of Shanghai, And the first time I used to go out there, it looked like a small road, and then like years later,
Yeah, highway.
big highways, bang, big cable-stayed bridges,
Yeah.
Of course, it was like, wow, what takes, even Thailand is very slow to infrastructure, but what takes Western countries to build something, because they have a lot of, this government gets in power, they want to build a bridge here, and then the environmental people come in and say, there's a certain species of plant that grows there, you can't do it there, you can't do this, you can't do that. And by the time their cycle of government, the new one gets in, he has a new idea. China, they go, we need a road that goes from here to there. And it gets done. Everybody's got to get out of the way. Now, if you live in a house and you're in the middle of the road, it's not good for you, because the government said you have to get out of the way because we're building a road there. That's it. But for development, it's very fast.
Very necessary.
So when I look at China, they can take an idea and they can move it fast. Faster than we can do it in the Western country. The only advantage that America has is they have a lot of private equity money that they can put into a new idea. So like if you look at Amazon, for instance, Amazon is not make a profit for more than 10 years. So if you're an investor in Amazon and you said, I'm going to give you $100 million, and then 8 years later you're going, when am I going to get some return on my $100 million? No, not this year. Not this year. So you have to wait a long time, but they still keep putting money in.
Yeah.
And then on year 10, okay, the share price goes up, they start paying dividends, so America has a lot of capital to put into a good idea and push it forward, and the stock market is very vibrant in the States,
Yeah, they can't
so,
wait.
So they can wait. They can put a lot of money in, they can wait it out if it's a good idea. Maybe for every good idea that's successful, there's still 10 that fail, huh? I always remember reading the story about Microsoft with Bill Gates. One of his partners that started, his name was Paul, I forget his second name, but he actually got cancer in his 30s when he was working at Microsoft. So he left Microsoft, but he was still a shareholder, and he was worth like $40-50 billion back then. But when he died, he was only worth $22 billion, and I thought, I wonder what happened to all his money. So I read the book on him, and he spent $20 billion on startup companies, backing startup companies, and none of them become like big, but before he died, he was suing Microsoft, he was suing Oracle, he was suing all the big tech companies, that the money that he put into these small companies, the tech that was being developed, they were stealing it, and they were stealing a lot of his ideas, but he died, he died of, he had actually Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then he got non-Hodgkin's, and then the next time it came around, it killed him, And so even though you've got $20 billion, you can pump it into like tech, doesn't mean it can be successful,
Yeah.
So, but what they do in the States is like, maybe 50 companies, but the one that goes big becomes $1 trillion company,
It's worth enough.
So that's these private equity companies go, they don't want to lose.
No.
They go, because with private equity, if you put your money into this private equity group and nothing's exciting, they take it out and they put it over there, you know. So you've got to keep putting it out there to try to get the growth, you know, because people want 20% growth in those like subsistence farmers. To try to bring them up is not easy, you know.
No.
You know, when you look at India, India's got 1.5 billion people. About 100 million people in India are doing okay, but the other 1.4 is not doing too good, you know. So it's you know, you can look at it and say, well, democracy works in India, but does it work? If you went to start a business in India, you would tear your hair out because
I've heard.
It's so complicated, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not easy to do business in China, in India. So whereas China, you know, if you, as long as you're not against anything against the government, you can easily set up manufacturing in China. If you follow the rules, you can get it, you can put the money in there and get your business started pretty quick, you know. That's why you've got all the European businesses and American businesses. It looks funny because they all complain, but their companies are in China, you know. The foreign companies are in there making money for the shareholders there, you know. So
it's a really big topic, and I think we need more time to discuss.
So let's finish off with Thailand.
好了，这就是这次访谈的所有内容了。最后还想说一点关于民宿的事儿。住民宿一般会有比较明确的入住守则，在入住以前，大家一定要仔细看一下。其实最重要的一点就是要像爱护自己家一样的爱护这所房子。毕竟我们去哪里，我们所代表的都不仅仅是我们的个人，你说对不对？好吧，三个解说与众不同，欢迎收看多多旅程，拜拜666。